feel like I've lost the plot so hard. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be working on this book. I'm so tired. I'm so tired of working on this book. I don't know, man. I have 3 chapters left. It's not even that much. It's not even that much. But I'm like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I feel like I've lost the plot so hard. And I'm like, is there even any true point in finishing this? It's like, at this point, I feel like I'm gonna have to rewrite everything that I write from this point. But for a sense of completion, I must finish it. Like, I have to finish it. The urge to just, in brackets, write, and a fight happens here, just finish, is so strong. There are things that need to happen at this ending point. We need separate confrontations and stuff, but I don't know. I feel like there's not appropriate groundwork for anything that's happening in these last 3 chapters. But they still have to be written. I feel like I probably need more chapters, which is scary because it's already nearly 120,000 words. And I just have a deep desire to I just want to finish. I just want to be done with this. I just want to put it away for a month and maybe 2 months and just never look at it. And that's the point I'm at. It's been so many months of working on this, and I just feel like I have no distance, I have no time, and I do desperately need distance and time in order to like come up with new ideas for a project and like ideate and like have new things flowing. And I just feel like I've been squeezed dry. Like, I don't know why I'm even picking this metaphor. Like when you make nut milk and you like put all the soaked blended up nuts in a bag and you like squeeze to get all the milk out. And I've squeezed as much as I can squeeze. And I just can't do it. Yeah, I don't know. I would like to not be a part of this book for a while. And I don't know, man. Part of me, I have like 3 chapters left, and part of me just wants to bang out just whatever wild, weird chapters that come out of my head and just lock in and just finish today. Just finish it. Just for the sake of it. Just do the sloppiest whatever chapter. Just get something down so I can close the chapter and I can chill for a bit so that I can come back with new renewed energy, because the energy I'm bringing to this project right now is useful for no one. Least of all me. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I guess that's what I'm gonna try and do. I'm gonna try and do this whole thing right now. Just finish the book. Finish the whole book. I got 3 chapters to do. I was just gonna do 1 chapter. Just finish the whole book. Just be done. Let's do it.
Colored skies, the timeline. All the memories are tainted. Now we're just acquainted. Don't mean to be a basic.
Okay, I am here to start off the vlog a little bit more coherently than I did in the beginning when I was losing my mind. But hello, I'm Liselle. Welcome back to my channel where I talk about all things writing, traditional publishing, and a little bit of reading. And I have finished the first draft of the last book in my young adult dark academia fantasy trilogy. Yay! Did I lose my mind a little bit during the process? Absolutely. To get a bit more into it, so this is the last book in my trilogy. It's a book about a girl that ends up infiltrating this society full of monsters, or rather people that can turn into monsters, where she partners with a monstrous boy to save her brother and find him. Because he's gone missing and she thinks that this society and this whole monster thing has something to do with it. So that's really like the first book. And yeah, that's the whole thing. And I have been working on doing this first draft, really like plotting, putting everything together, doing this first draft for like 6 months straight. Like for so long. And I am the sort of person who I really thrive getting to work on different projects and like getting to flip-flop between different projects. And in this case, I didn't really get to, like I had to pause to work on the proof pages for the second book in the series, but that wasn't really getting a break because I was still working on this series, and I just like so desperately wanted to work on other things but logistically couldn't with my deadline looming. And then I got more time, and then I didn't really want to use more of the time because I was tired of working on it. So I worked really hard to finish that draft, and it's just sitting now. I do have more time. I don't know that the more time will be utilized to work on it, but I have the time if I can work on it, and if I can't for a variety of reasons, then that's just what's going to go off. In any case, the draft is done. I'm just happy that it's done. The book is completed. There are a lot of holes and things that need to be fixed for sure. And I was wondering about like, you know, subplots for like better relationship dynamics, but also the book is at 120,000 words in this current first draft iteration. And I'm like, how could I possibly add another subplot and feel like that's gonna work okay? And it can't happen. So I'm gonna have to find some way to do those relationship dynamics the way I want without adding any more plot to the book, because there is already so much plot. I just have to figure out other places to put it. But yeah, or just work within the chapters that I already have. I'll figure something out. That is a struggle for the Liselle of the future. But in exciting news, my publisher sent me the proof, just the proof, like the dust jacket. Like this is a copy of A Mastery of Monsters, but they sent me the dust jacket proof for the second book. So it may or may not be the final, like everything might not be the same in the dust jacket, but it's like a way to see what it's gonna look like when it's in final hardcover form, even though they haven't printed it yet. So I'm very happy to have gotten that. It's also really great for pictures, but you can kind of see like the shine effect on it, which is cool, and the sort of like spot detail with the fog coming off the fur, and the spine, which is so beautiful. Hold on, there we go, get a nice focus there. big fan of how the spine looks. I think it is great. So, and then they put the starred reviews from and the other trade reviews from A Mastery of Monsters on the back, which is great. And yeah, and then the little summary on the inside, which I thought would maybe, well, we checked the word count, so it isn't as too long, but no, I'm very excited about that. And then it's got my little picture in the back there. But yeah, I really love it. I think it looks beautiful. And since the first and second book have this pretty much like a very similar word count, it should be pretty much this thickness. So, which will be thick, yes. But it is really nice to like be able to like get down a copy of the first book. It is really nice to be able to see them together like this in like a book format, which is really nice. This is the special science fiction version, but yeah, I think it just looks so pretty, and I'm so excited about getting the final format because yeah, I think it's just gonna be so good. So I was very excited about getting those. But otherwise, or rather, what am I gonna be doing for the rest of this month? Because we're just at the beginning of February. So for one thing, I am going to be working on the SlugBook at least as much as I can until I get edits back for my SecretProject stuff. But the SlugBook, which is an adult horror work in progress that I'm working on, uncontracted, that sort of thing. So it is... I don't know how I've explained this, and I feel like I like come up with a good pitch and then I forget it, and then it just becomes more convoluted. But anyway, it's about a sort of alternate Toronto in which slugs, yes, slugs, have become a sort of important commodity, and we're following a woman whose job kind of involves getting rid of them, who ends up teaming up with an influencer to basically deal with a serial killer. It's all mixed, mashed up together there. But I did a draft and edited a draft and sent it to my agent the longest ago, like I think 6 months ago, because things happened. But I've gotten back on the horse with working on it. And so I read over my whole draft in the last kind of couple weeks. I just finished that today, reading over the draft. And I'm really, really pleased with it. I do think it's so very good. I feel like the bones of it are so strong. I think what needs work is I do want to have more of a horror atmosphere from it. I think the like atmosphere and the vibe coming off the book isn't quite right, so I do want to work on that. The character, I think making more clear the character motivations, getting more in depth with those motivations, making a connection between, you know, what they're struggling with and something a reader might struggle with, and also like connecting to a more sort of human fear, because certainly, you know, if you're involved with a serial killer, there's that fear, but also a sort of like innate internal conflict fear. Like I want that to come out more. And I've had some good ideas for also like fleshing out the mystery more and making it a little bit more twisty and turny and kind of a little bit more exciting for when you get to like the reveals and stuff. So I've put some, I feel like I need that. So I think it's just like, I think the base plot is good. I don't think there's any like big changes in there. I think it's really just like fleshing out the world and the characters and like refining and like making the prose shine a lot more. And I do think I could do that in one edit. Like I do think I could accomplish it. So basically for next week, the SecretProject stuff, I'm not going to get edits for that until like the end of next week. So then I have the entirety of next week free. So what I'm planning to do is I'm hoping that I can plan out all of the edits for the SlugBook, and plan out everything to get done. And so I'm hopeful that I think the edits for my SecretProject stuff, I don't think they'll be that heavy. I think they'll be quite a bit lighter. And so there is potential that if I do a very small amount of SlugBook edits each day while working on the secret project, that I could potentially finish an edit of the SlugBook simultaneously with secret project edits. And that way, when both those edits are done, will probably be the timing that I'll get my next, the final Mastery book edits back. And I know that those edits are going to be massive because it's a mess. And so while I have the time, I want to use as much of that time as possible to really get in like some solid work on the SlugBook stuff, because I want to have my agent be able to read that while I'm working on the next Mastery book stuff. So that's my hope. Fingers crossed that I will be able to do that. But yeah, so now that I've read through and I've made all my notes and stuff, that'll just be what I'm working on for next week. But for this week, I've been very much taking it easy. After I finished that draft, I very much took it easy. So yeah, we're on Friday. We're going to go into the weekend now. I'm going to continue to take it easy, continue to obsessively play Animal Crossing. And yeah, and then I'll check back in with you.
To your eyes, fitting myself into your twist ties and boxes, selling me your plastic dreams on a shelf that's out of reach. So I just sit gathering some dust in the closet. But I got a human heart not made of cloth, got the kind of mind that I cannot turn off. If you're only looking for someone to own, no you won't, you'll be alone. No, I'm not
on the SlugBook this week. And so what I'm doing essentially is I have my iPad, because last week or over the last couple weeks I read through the whole book, and on my iPad I just like made little notes on the PDF. So like some of them like little like grammar things and like changes of words, but also some of them like more in-depth notes about like what I need to do and add to the story. So I have my iPad with that. On one screen I have my Scrivener document of like the whole novel, and then on my second screen I have the Microsoft Word document that I sent to my agent, that my agent has made notes on. And then behind that I have my plotter where I'm doing all my plotting, just because I thought it'd be I don't know, like, I guess, like, perhaps interesting to share how I'm managing this whole thing and, like, doing this edit. So basically what I've been doing is I've been going chapter by chapter. So I go to the chapter and I go through all of my iPad notes on the chapter first, because I have a lot of, like, little changes to make, and I make all those little changes. And then I go on my Word document where my agent has made notes, and I check if she has any notes for that chapter. And usually after I read her notes, because they tend to be, like, more developmental, what I'll do is then I pull up the plotter file. I made a new plotter file for this revision, basically because I think I need to redo the character arcs kind of from scratch in a way. And also I don't want to get distracted from all the previous notes I had when I was drafting in Plotter. And so I've changed the Plotter file so it just has the chapters, and then I added a character arc section for the one POV character and a character arc section for the second POV character, and then I've added a sort of like plot revision section. So after I read what my agent noted, if it's something that I can change quickly, I just change it in the Scrivener right away. Like if it's like she didn't quite understand a sentence, then I'll just like clarify it right away in the Scrivener file. But if it's something more sort of larger developmental level, then I go in the plotter file and I'll kind of make note of what it is on that plot line, because usually it's kind of like plot related, or if it's character related, I'll try and see how I can fit that into the character arc section. And so I split the whole book into 4 acts, and I'm trying to do this over 4 days. So I've just been doing an act per day. The book is like fairly short at this point, so it's not like too much to be doing all of that. My dog is coming in now, so you can potentially hear her walking. So it's not that much to do that. And so what I have basically done is I've been working on the character arc as I go through each chapter. So like when I finish going through this chapter, when I've gone through my notes and I've made those changes on Scrivener, when I've gone through my agent's notes and I've made those notes in Scrivener or in Plotter, what I'll do after that is I'll go into those character arc lines and I'll make note of like where the character should be in their arc, or like how they should be responding at this time, and trying to sort of drill that down more, because that's kind of what seems to be the most missing from this draft. And my agent put it really well. She said that she felt like she was at an arm's length from the characters, and I was like, oh yeah, that's the perfect way to put it. Like you're not quite as in depth with them as you should be, and that's really just the perfect way to say it. And so that's why I'm working really hard on these character arcs, because I want to be able to pull you in and pull you closer to the character. And there are some plot things too as well that kind of need to be worked on in Plotter. I'm also kind of putting out spaces to add in more chapters for different things I need to do. So that's basically, that's the process of how I'm planning this edit. And I think it is a little different than how I might plan other edits. I think every book is a little bit different, but in the case of this one, I really wrote this book without adhering to the usual plot structure that I tend to use. So I usually plot using a save the cat structure, and when I wrote this story I decided not to do that. And so I think certain things it was great in terms of like feeling freedom to write, and I think getting something that feels different than my other books. I mean, all my books feel different anyway, even when I adhere to the Save the Cat plot structure, but I kind of wanted to do something a little bit different, a little bit more experimental, and I feel like it has that feel to it. But then things that I would have planned ahead of time and like really drilled down if I was doing Save the Cat, for example, my, you know, character arc sort of thing, that's what's lacking in this case and needs to be kind of fixed and finessed. And also kind of the mystery, I think, also needs to be fixed and finessed. But again, I still think that generally, structurally, everything is sound and everything is interesting. It's just kind of getting all these things together. So yeah, I thought I'd just kind of talk about that process, because I feel like usually I come on and just kind of say how I felt about things, but I felt it might be cool to sort of share logistically how I'm going about things.
Parked along the side, cars pass us by, 4th of July, love is the vibe. Older folks reside just down the road, I can see the town light. All the memories are tainted, now we're just acquainted. Don't mean to be a basic bitch. Please take me home. I don't wanna be here anymore. Take me home. Take me home. Take me home.
Oh my gosh, this is my first update from my webcam. I finally learned how to use the OSB recording device because I had to do an on-screen video, which you would have already seen by now, but I was doing an Aeon timeline review, and so I needed to figure out proper on-screen video with my face in it. And now I just have so many capabilities, so I can do this update through my webcam instead of figuring out how to set up my camera on my desk and have this view with my bookshelf. It's very nice. I'm very pleased with myself for getting this set up. But anyway, the actual update, what have I been doing with myself? So I did, for the secret project that I'm working on, I did have a meeting with the editor and we talked through a bunch of the things. And so I have that to work on. It is more of a line edit, like a line sort of developmental, but I would say that this is, to me, more of a line edit, because I do usually get line edits that will sometimes have a little bit of like developmental stuff that I have to do just because like questions and things come up. So that's basically that. Right now, can I say anything really about the secret project? Yeah, more of a line level thing at this point. So, yeah, I think that's all I have to give. I continue to not know when I will be able to reveal secret project stuff. I assume soonish, but I feel like I've been saying I think soonish for a while, so it's just best to not think anything of that. So that's that. And SlugBook. So SlugBook is proceeding. I have decided to work on both projects at once, which I know is a frequent thing that I do. I'm like, I'm going to work on 2 projects at once, and then I get overwhelmed, and then I'm like, oh, this was a mistake. But I have enough time that I can do a much smaller amount of work, so it won't be so much. So I'm doing about like 2 chapters of secret project stuff and like 3 chapters of slug stuff per day. And the chapters for both projects are pretty short. It's just one of those things where the projects just work in a way that, 2 chapters is certainly not enough, and 3 chapters is definitely not that much from the slug book, because the slug book chapters are like 1,000 to 1,500 word chapters. Like, they're quite short chapters, which is very much on purpose. And so I think everything will be okay. And I have finished like planning out the edits I want to do on the slug book. That's what I was working on last week, was like kind of planning out everything that I wanted to do. I also did some planning last week for secret project stuff. And so now I'm like at the point of just executing everything. So I think it's gonna go well because it's like 10:40 a.m. and I've already done the secret project stuff for the day. And so I'm gonna be moving on to the SlugBook stuff. So I feel like I can still be done all the edits by like noon, which is usually the comfort of my work period. It's like being done by like noon or like 2 o'clock at latest. So I feel like I'm definitely in a good position. I can't remember if I've said it on this channel or not, but I am going to be going to Japan and Korea. um Sort of like endish of April sort of time. And I'm gonna be gone for 3 weeks. So I'm gonna be gone for 3 weeks. So I mean, I suspect that I will probably have to do some work on mastery while I'm away. I would love it if I could just have like 3 pure weeks of vacation. Um, but I don't know if that's going to be logistically possible for me. I don't know. So we'll see. Yeah, I don't know. I'll probably let my editor know and we'll figure something out. But anyway, this is like, yeah, this is my dream trip. Dream trip. So yeah, going to Japan for 2 weeks and then Korea for 1 week. I think just Seoul in Korea. But I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if I'll have time to like go other places within a week, but I don't know. We'll see. I have to do more research. I'm woefully unprepared. I have like done so little preparation. I booked like a ryokan in Kyoto, but that's all I've done so far. Because people said the ryokans like book up really quickly, and man, yeah, I think they do really book up really quickly. It was kind of rough to find one. Yeah, at some point I need to start booking hotels, but I feel like hotels was like more casual. Like I don't like I'm not gonna show up with no hotel book, but like I don't think I need to be booking them so far in advance. But I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'm making a mistake. If I'm making a mistake, tell me. But all the flights are booked. The flights are down. But yeah. It's a warmer weather, but I do think I'm missing a lot of the peak stuff because I think I'm just missing um cherry blossom season, and I'm just going back right before like Golden Week. So I think so. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But I am sad. I am missing KCON Japan. I didn't know that it was gonna. It's like happening like right after I leave. I didn't realize. So that sucks. But I don't know. I'm hopeful about KCON LA. Maybe I can go to KCON LA. I'm kind of thinking that that's where I'm gonna put my eggs in a basket. Da, 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 I don't know. Anyway, I'm getting distracted now. Right now, I'm also reading Girl Dinner by Olivie Blake. I really like an Olivie Blake book, so I'm reading that now while playing House Flipper 2. I burned out on Animal Crossing. I went too hard, and now I don't care to play Animal Crossing anymore, so I've returned to House Flipper 2. But I've been listening to that on audio and really enjoying it. It's about like an adjunct, well, there's two POVs. There's like an adjunct professor who's like just returning after having her baby, returning to work and kind of getting used to that and like finding herself and her like identity as a mother, like aside from like identity at work aside from being a mother, but also like trying to like reform, I don't know, like social relationships and like dealing with like separation from her kid. And then there's another POV of like a girl that's rushing or like getting involved in a sorority, and then there's a sort of overlap there. And I assume that people will be eaten at some point, hence the title. Yeah, anyway, sorry, that was a very bad summary. But anyway, that's what I'm reading and I'm enjoying it. So
Settle down, love. Don't be so restless. Only you have the power to get through this, and you know the truth.
here we are at the end of the vlog. I had to look at my calendar because I was like, what did I even do this month? I don't know if I didn't update a lot or if I just forgot everything or what it was, but I looked at the calendar and I realized at the beginning of the month was I had finished the drafting and I was like, oh yeah, I did do that. It was like the end of what had been a period of suffering. And then things just like, I don't know, just like flitted away from me because I wasn't doing that anymore. Um, but yeah, I did finish that draft. I didn't end up, working on it more. I ended up like moving on to my other projects. So it's just the first draft, and that's been sent off and received. So that's good. And then I've really just like dived headfirst into SlugBook stuff. So I read through the whole thing. I planned the edits, and now I'm in the process of doing those edits, which is going well so far. I feel like now that I've done better with establishing the characters and the background and like what their sort of goals are and what makes them tick, I do feel like there's a much stronger sense of who each character is and like why they're in the position they're in, what they are trying to do with their lives, why they are going forward in this specific way. I feel like that's a lot more clear now. So I'm pleased about that. I'm glad about having put that together. So it's still going to be a while. Like I think my goal is to be done this edit at the end of March, and I do think I will be able to do that either the end of March or very close to the 1st of April. I think I'll be able to get that done. And then I've also started in working on my secret project stuff, which is actually, it's a lighter edit, I would say, than the SlugBook stuff. I would say it's a little, it's like, I mean, it is in many ways a line edit. So it's kind of further along. But line editing is difficult for me because it's so, like, it has to be so nitpicky. And so it makes sense, but it's like so difficult. It's so difficult. So I've been doing that at a bit of a slower pace, that secret project thing. So yeah, that's been the process with that. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. Working on two projects at once has actually been fine so far. Yeah, it's been pretty good. I've been able to manage it, I think, because I'm doing a little bit of each section, and actually I can usually finish that within kind of, I'm finishing around like 2 o'clock, something like that, which is comfortable for me. So I feel like it's going well so far. And yeah, so into the next month, it's really going to be solely focused on these two projects, getting these edits done by the end of the month. That's basically it. So I guess I'll end this vlog here. I will stop rambling on. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And I will see you next month. Thanks for watching. Bye.
So I just sit gathering some dust in the closet. But I got a human heart, I made of cloth.